What's up, guys? Mike Rage, Tammy Never Hillary Lee.
Good.
Tonight, we're going to be reading the entire DOOR document. First, we're going to give you a history. Now, this is a petition to the government, a redress of grievance. All the people's grievances right here. It's something we did last year. And I'll let Tammy kind of go over the history a little bit.
Yes. Hi, guys. How are you? Thanks for coming in and joining us in our not-so-complicated studio here. What I want to do first is give a little bit of backstory to DOOR, what DOOR is, the Declaration of Restoration. If you guys want to share this out, share it to your page or other pages that you think might be interested, go ahead and do that. DOOR, which is a short term for Declaration of Restoration, essentially was created after a rally that was originally created that kind of disintegrated, fell apart a little bit. Hi, Becky, how are you? And Mike here kind of wanted to pick it up a little bit, and I was a little unsure about how things were going to go, so I was kind of listening to him, and I thought, wow, you know, he's really onto something here. I'd like to help him with it. Back in the day, I used to organize a lot of rallies, plan a lot of rallies, attend a lot of rallies, as a lot of you know. So DOOR was created. The Declaration of Restoration was created. Essentially what it is, or what it was we knew there was a problem. When I say we, I mean the people. We, the people, knew there was a problem in 2019, although we, the people, knew there's been a problem for quite a long time. In 2019, we decided that we were going to sit down and we were going to figure out a way to address the government. We are given laws and we are given rights and amendments and all these things to help us keep our government in check. And so we were talking, and it was like, what are we not doing right? What is going on that we cannot get our message through? You know, the rallies are not working, the flag wavings are not working. You know, fighting with this side and that side is not working. What is it that we can do? And so we realized that one thing we haven't tried yet, and hasn't been tried in quite a long time, I think the mid-'80s, early 80s, was to address the government, which is part of our First Amendment, was to address the government. So we took a lot of time. We conversed with multiple constitutional lawyers, a lot of research, a lot of talking back and forth. And so the DOOR document was born, which is right here, which is what we're going to read tonight.
Yeah, and I have to explain it. What the Declaration of Restoration is it's the Declaration of Independence conformed into today.
Restored.
It's restored. It's the people's grievances of today.
Hi, neighbor.
Never more did it matter now than it ever has.
Right.
Last video, we said maybe we were a year too early, but you had a little premonition. And
you know, at first we thought, why did it fail? And we talked about that in our last video. Why did DOOR fail? Why did it not do what it was meant to do? And we put some blame on ourselves, which was, I would say, proper to do. And I was thinking today, and I said, you know what it was? At first we thought we were a year too early. Man, we were a year too early. Trump was still in office. You know, everybody thought that he was smooth sailing into that election. We were just too early. But then I thought about it today, and I said to Mike, I said, you know what? Maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe it wasn't that we were too early. Because DOOR is meant to be preventative, right? You see, we had former administration that wanted to protect the Constitution. But many of us who sit and logically think that, okay, he won't be in office forever. If he's reelected, he will still not be in office forever. It doesn't work that way. And what do we do after? How many times have you and I said in many videos over the years, what do we do after him? What do we do? There's no plan. There's nothing in place. So this document, even though at first I thought we were a year too early, maybe we weren't. Maybe what it was preventative, kind of like, in layman's terms, you don't want to have a child. You use birth control. You use a condom. It's preventative. You don't want to have a child. This was preventative. This was to ensure that whenever the president was out of office, that our rights would not be distorted, taken away, removed, rewritten, forgotten about, or crapped on.
Yeah. And, last year we went to the White House. We went to the Capitol. We handed it into a few senators, and unfortunately there was a sham impeachment going on, and it prevented us from doing what we had to do. But the one thing about this document, for everybody watching, this is not right, this is not left. This is an individual right comprised of all the people's grievances within the United States, but it's an individual right. So I don't care who you are, what color you are, what religion, what background, gay, straight, I don't care who you are. This document pertains to you. The biggest problem that we saw going on was the right versus the left, black versus white, this versus that. Because in the end, we're all one people. We're all American, every single person out there. Unity was our biggest message. And this document is for every single individual in the United States. I don't care what you're fighting for. There's always common ground. And this document protects that common ground, addresses that common ground. So.
You are correct. We will go a little bit more into that, but I think that we should start by reading it, because one of the downfalls of November 9th of 2019 is that not enough people were able to put their eyes on the document, because we did have to sort of protect it. There were certain people that were trying to steal it, and we were concerned about, many, government people and all that. So we kind of kept it to ourselves until the rally itself, and that really held us back. So we've decided tonight to read to you the DOOR document, and we are going to post this on this page and in the group. There's a group page as well. I think it only has like 4,500 people in it. I'm not sure, but we're going to release it page by page. As we do video by video, page by page, it will be released, so that you can save it, print it, read it for yourself, maybe get some ideas, maybe really kind of go out and do some of your own research. That's a lot of what this country lacks, is curiosity and research.
And this document is just not to be presented federally. Your right to petition is on all levels of government. County, state, federal, it doesn't matter. You can use this document. It's your right. It's your First Amendment right to petition the government. Right. And this is a redress of grievance, and it can be used anywhere. It can be used at your state capitol. It can be used at the White House, at the Capitol, our, federal government. It could be used at our county. You can take it to a court judge.
Right.
The redress of grievance is your right. And this dates back to Magna Carta, 800 years ago. The right to petition government has been around for a very long time, long before the Bill of Rights have been around. They just implemented it into the Bill of Rights. Our founding fathers implemented it for a reason. It allowed, colonists to petition King George, and here we are today. It allows the American people to petition government.
Right. You want to get to reading, I guess?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Okay. This is not very long. This document is technically 7 pages. The last page has 1 sentence. This isn't extremely long. I'm hoping that all of you will be able to sit through it. It's not that long, but it's important. So if it means anything to you, just sit back. All right. Declaration of Restoration, Redress of Grievances. We, the people of the United States, in order to restore our rights within the Constitution and the government limitations held within, do hereby present this statement of redress of grievance, a right inherited to the people in the Constitution of the United States, Amendment 1. In following our Founding Fathers' case, we present the Declaration of Restoration.
When in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for the people to redress the political bands which have united them with another, and to adopt among the powers of the earth the separate and equal service to which the laws of nature and of nature of God entitles them. A decent respect to the opinion of mankind requires that they should declare the cause which impel them to the vindication.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their powers from the consent of the governed. From the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to restore it, and to direct the government, return its foundation on such principles, and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Diligence, indeed, will dictate that government, long established, shall not change for the light and transient causes, and respectively all history have revealed that mankind are more disposed to suffer, while evils are endurable, than to right themselves by regulating the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and confiscations, pursuing invariable the same example, manifest a design to reduce them under the absolute tyranny, it is their right, it is their duty to escape such government and call for afforded guards for their future security. Such has been the patient sufferance of the states, and such is now the necessity in which constrains them to reconform their current systems of government. The history of the present government is a history of repeated injuries and preemption, all having in the direct purpose the formulation of an absolute tyranny over these states. To provide this, let fact be submitted to a candid world.
Number 1. The Constitution of the United States is the supreme law of the land. Is the supreme law. As according to Article 6, Clause 2, federal officials within the United States government have infringed upon the many rights of the people. Have infringed upon the many rights of the people. Both God-given and constitutional. They have exceeded the powers granted to them and have not honored and upheld the Constitution according to their oath of office, creating an illegitimate form of government. Remember that, an illegitimate form.
Section A. Federal officials have refused their approval to laws, the most wholesome and necessary for the public good.
Section B. They have blocked the pass of laws of immediate and pressing importance, suspending in their operation till presidential, sorry, some of this is faded a little, till presidential concession should be obtained. And when so suspended, they have utterly neglected to attend to them.
They have called together legislative bodies to vote on bills repeatedly and with no release, for the sole purpose of fatiguing them into compliance with their measures. They as in government, by the way.
Section D. They have endeavored to allow illegal immigrants of these states for the purpose of ignoring the laws for naturalization of foreigners, refusing to hold others to discourage their illegal immigration hither, and releasing conditions to illegal immigrants of government services paid for by American citizens, paid for with your taxes.
They have misappropriated funds towards the upkeep and protection of illegal aliens for housing, food, and medical at the expense of the citizens.
Section F. They have erected a multitude of new offices for their own use under federal guise, to harass our people and act against the people unconstitutionally, violently, and with severe intimidation.
The people cannot trust the government will not use its military against them in a time of standing united without force.
They have combined themselves with others to subject us to jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution, and in ignorance to our laws, given their own false legislation that goes against the Constitution and agreeing to only their own.
For imposing taxes on us without our consent, implementing an income tax amendment without proper ratification, erecting an agency to assume authority of its levied taxes on the people, imposing criminal penalties, and violating the rights of the people to due process.
They have overstepped their own authorities, invading and causing death to inhabitants of these states defending their constitutional rights and lands, and receiving little to no punishment for such acts.
I'm sorry, that slide is faded. The poor trade agreements which take opportunities from the states, restricting the empowerment of the states and providing for ourselves.
For infringing upon our constitutional rights, threatening abolishment of our most valuable laws, and altering the functionality of the forms of government. The U.S. Constitution is the supreme law of the land, and the statute, to be valid, must be in agreement.
They have plundered our rights, comprised our borders, violated our towns, and destroyed the lives of our people.
The people of the states have lost their representation as a check and balance against a mob rule with the 17th Amendment.
They have acquired positions of office, establishing an oligarchy without term limitations.
They have excited domestic insurrections among us and have endeavored to bring the neighboring countrymen, the cartels, whose known rule of warfare is an undistinguished violation of the destruction of all ages, sexes, and conditions.
They have adopted and enforced statutes and regulations breaching the people's Second Amendment right, placing we the people under direct threat of our due process rights with the inclusion of red flag laws. These actions against the public good violates the Second Amendment, Fourth Amendment, Fifth Amendment, Sixth Amendment, Seventh and 14th, Section 1.
They have neglected the people and caused disappropriate standards of mental health within the states, per congressional record August 1981.
They have failed to secure our borders from invasion of illegal aliens, criminals, and foul acts they bring upon us, subjecting our citizens to harm and dangers protected in Article 4, Section 4 of the United States Constitution.
They have manipulated the voting system used by the people to vote their representatives into office, and continuously fail to correct the issues.
They have created mediums not backed by gold or silver tender, utilize the Federal Reserve to control the money and credit system of the nation without control by the people.
Terrorist watch lists and other secret lists compiled by the federal government and their controlled agencies are in violation of multiple constitutional rights, targeting American citizens without just cause or purpose.
They have interfered with education, imposing penalties or threats of removal of funds, requiring public schools to instruct and or not instruct content and subject material.
They have taken to the media outlets and platforms to spread ideologies, opinions, and falsehoods as facts to the people, creating hysteria and panic among the citizens. Sound familiar?
They have displaced law with politics, compelling actions and issues without foundation, causing inequitable burden to the people.
They have abused their powers granted to the federal government, exploited powers not delegated to them, rejecting those powers reserved for the states or the people, deliberately violating Amendment 10.
They have disregarded the state's sovereign rights to carry out its official functions for the benefit of public, with its continued permanent membership within the United Nations.
They have failed to guarantee to the states a Republican form of government.
Number 2. That was just number 1. Number 2. State and local officials have failed to protect the people from abuses by federal officials, violated their natural and constitutional rights, exceeding the limitations of power delegated to them under the federal and state constitutions.
States have put into law unconstitutional restrictions that infringe on the people's Second Amendment.
States have failed to review and refine mental health in their Patients' Bill of Rights, Section 501, per congressional record, August 1981. I spoke many times about the mental health bill.
They have put taxes on its citizens, often creating double payment tax towards single issues. I've said this multiple times that you get taxed, go to the bathroom, because you have to pay tax on water, pay tax on sewer. You're getting double, triple, quadruple taxed.
They have trudged upon the securities of a sound education by placing unethical curriculum in the classrooms and pushing policies unhealthy towards mental development.
State officials have taken to media outlets to push personal agendas, ideologies, opinions, and falsehoods as factual to its citizens.
Mandated immunization undermines civil liberties, and such medical interventions come with grave risks.
In every stage of these oppressions, we have petitioned for redress or grievance in the most humble terms. Our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injury. Federal officials whose characters are thus marked by every act in which defines tyrant is unfit to govern for the free people.
We have been wanting attention to our government. We have warned them from time to time of attempts by their legislature to extend an unwarrantable jurisdiction over us. We have reminded them of the rights bound to them in the Constitution of the United States. We have appealed to their practices and generosity. We have implored them, by the ties of our common interest for the good of the people, to reject the usurpations which inevitably interrupt our bonds and conformity. They remain deaf to the voice of justice and of brother and sisterhood. We must therefore agree with some reluctance in this necessity, hold them as tyrannical as a result of corrupt FBI and CIA involvement in the past political bodied investigations. We, the people, call for an investigation of every member of Congress. Charges filed against those members discovered corrupt and or tyrannical and tried before the people of the United States. Inquiry will be performed by one elected, inquiry would be good. Inquiry will be performed by one elected constitutional sheriff voted by the people from each state, creating a panel of 50. FBI, CIA, DHS, and the like agencies are in complete exclusion and discharged to any and all elements of the people's congressional investigation.
Yeah, so what that means is, and I have to explain this for a lot of people who weren't getting everything because it's a long paragraph. What we did was we called for an investigation of every politician, right, left, indifferent, don't matter, an investigation of every politician by a panel of 50 constitutional sheriffs, one voted in from each state. And what that does is allows each constitutional sheriff to investigate and therefore find corruption in every politician. Whether they are clean or dirty, it doesn't matter, we will find out. And, we have to exclude government agencies because we already see how corrupt they are and everything that's been going on.
Well, true.
So we therefore, as representatives of the people of the United States of America, meaning the people, petition that the powers of the people be returned, the intimidations of the government be rebound.
Limitations.
I'm sorry, the limitations.
It's faded.
It was,
That's
sorry,
my
we
fault.
copied these, so they're faded. And the Constitution of the United States be restored. Constitution be restored for all you young individuals out there. We just had this conversation before I continue reading. Mm-hmm. You poor children don't understand what you really have. You don't understand your rights because you're not taught them. And, when we're listening to the S word and everything they're presenting, socialism, you guys see free healthcare and free education and things like that. What you don't understand is you're giving up the most valuable thing. You're giving up your rights to receive those free things. And those things aren't free. Where do they come from, babe?
Well, here's the thing. You want to finish this, or should you want me to go on? Because I could go on forever about that. We're almost there. We've got.
All right, I'm going to get back to that. I'll get back to that. Calling for the General Congress to assemble for a hearing to appeal the Supreme Judge for the rectitude of our intentions. Do in the name and by the authority of the good people of the United States solemnly publish and declare that these United States are the right and of the right ought to be free and shielded by its Constitution.
And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance of the protection of sacred providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor, framers of the Declaration of Independence. And then after that is when we have a signature portion of the book.
And there are signatures, and a lot of people, listen, I'm sorry, I know attention span's hard when we're reading to you. That's why we're going to post it so you can actually read and see what's on the document. Now, the grievances are here. The case law is not. We are going to post the actual grievances. The case law is for court. If we receive a Supreme Court hearing and the people are able to stand and make their grievances known, case law will be presented.
Right. That's more of the lawyer's job to do.
Yes.
I mean, we could present it all day long. I think we have 56 pages.
Yes.
Just pertaining to redress of grievance case law.
56 pages, you're right.
Right. Here's the deal, folks, and I'm going to be professionally not professional. We did just read you the DOOR document. I photocopied it so that he and I could read it, could make our notes on it. The other documents that we have, they are official. Some of those documents do have signatures on them. It only takes one signature to make those documents valid. Here's the deal. You had touched on the younger generations, and I'm going to kind of go off on a slight rant, but it's not a rant. It's not a rant, but it's a slight rant. Here's the deal. We are facing socialism, and everybody knows it. Like I said the other night, it is not a talking point anymore. It is now a living point. This is where we are at. And like you said, the younger generation is not taught that. A few years ago, I was up in Albany, New York. I videoed a rally with a bunch of kids who were doing some 2A walkout, blah, blah, blah. And the interviews were there. I talked to these kids, and they said clear as day that they weren't taught the Constitution, that they didn't need to know it because their teacher tells them they don't need to know it. Here's the issue, and the issue is this. We are losing everything that we have, and the younger generation doesn't seem to understand. And I kind of did a little analogy earlier as far as what I would consider, if I were to explain to a 10-year-old what is socialism, and I would say it like this. Let's say we go to the grocery store, right? And you have your shopping cart, and every single thing you want from that store, you put in that cart. Everything you want, everything you desire, everything you need, you put it in this cart, right? But you don't just walk out the store with it. That's stealing. You don't just walk out of the store with all of these things that you want for free, right? You have to stop at the register and you have to give something to them. In this case, it's money for merchandise, right? That's sort of like what socialism is. I want to give you free food. I want to give you free housing. I'm going to give you free education. I'm going to give you free this, free that. Somewhere along the way, you have to pay for it. Nothing comes for free.
Nothing.
So while you may not feel the effects of this, somebody else, somewhere else, along the line will pay for that. And it will not be government, because where does government get money? The people. From you, from your taxes. That's where it comes from. Nothing is free. And the younger people who believe that socialism is the way to go in this country, and everything should be fair, and everything has to be even, and everybody has to be on the same playing field, is bullshit.
Yeah.
All of it is bullshit.
Yes. So, again, nothing is for free. Corporations don't pay tax. The people pay their taxes for them. Education isn't free. Housing isn't free. Everything you receive for free is paid for by everyone by tax. And if you see a little tax in the store, just remember, the product you're buying, you're not just paying taxes on that product. It's probably taxed 5 or 6 times over. We just discussed this today as they're getting rid of the pipeline. So we're not energy efficient anymore. Well, we have to bring that oil or that energy here. So we're going to be taxed on it. And who pays those taxes? The people. Hence gas rising through the roof, products rising through the roof, stock market rising through the roof, all because we're getting rid of our energy. So we have to pay tax from where that comes from.
Right.
Not to mention all the foreign entity relations we should not have.
Right. Yeah. I mean, COVID is a perfect example, and I think you said it before, and when COVID had really kind of hit the U.S. back last March, we made a bunch of videos about how that was basically a test run to socialism. And there's conspiracy everywhere. Where did it come from? Who released it? Who did this? Why did they do it? The point is, it doesn't matter where it came from, who released it, why they released it, or any of that, because the point is it's here now. We're dealing with it. But not only are we dealing with a virus that is real, I believe that, but we're also dealing with everything else that comes with it, and that's experimental government.
Well,
I believe that it is experimental government.
I don't want to cut you off, but I want to touch on that point, because for all you young kids who may watch or may see this video, whether you're interested or not, you need to understand something. When we said that COVID was the introduction to socialism, we see a lot of these stories on TV. You guys are star athletes. You guys are playing sports in school. You're everything. You're the town hero. You're everything. Well, all of a sudden it's taken away. Now you're depressed and you're at home, and there's been many, child suicides, teen suicides, because they're no longer the star football player or the star quarterback. Why do you think that is? It's the introduction to socialism. They are taking away everything from you to see how far they can take it until you break. Go ahead, sorry.
We touched on illegal immigration. We touched on the border in the Redress of Grievance, which is part of what the government is supposed to do. It's supposed to protect our borders. It is obvious that this new administration is not keeping up with that oath of office. They are allowing all of these people to come in. Ironically, 10 hours after the inauguration, there was 2 caravans headed this way. Here's the problem. If we have such a major issue with COVID, which is keeping everybody locked in their houses and slaves to the World Health Organization, why is it we are allowing thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people from other countries that we may or may not know what they're carrying in? It's a hypocrisy at its greatest point, right? And the funny thing is the joke is on us. The joke has always been on the people, because ever since government realized that it could manipulate and decide that the people could be suppressed through fear, through jail, through fines, they have been doing exactly what they want to do when they want to do it. And we have always been too afraid. And now we are even more afraid. And I hate to touch on this because I know it's really a bad subject, but January 6th is a perfect example of how something went wrong. Media plays it up. One side of government feeds off of it. Next thing you know, there are more rules and laws implemented against people speaking freely, because now we're all considered domestic terrorism. You're a domestic terrorist. I'm a domestic terrorist. Let me explain something to you. I've had knocks on my door from many agencies. I've had phone calls. I have recorded phone calls, because I will tell them, I know you're recording me and I'm recording you too. So we're all together on this, because I don't play stupid. I don't play games. Here's the deal for all the ABC agencies. Hi, remember me? Yes, you do. Right now, I am practicing my First Amendment, and I'm also practicing it, not just freedom of speech, but freedom of religion. You know why? What did I say to you?
Freedom is our religion.
My new religion is freedom. I'm practicing it. If you look up the definition of religion, you will understand what I mean. We're going to give you some homework. Go check it out. Start doing a little work on the importance of a redress of grievance, where it stands in the First Amendment. And when I say that my new religion is freedom, and I have every right to practice my religion under the First Amendment, that is what I'm doing right here, right now.
And for all you people who don't know it by heart, you're going to open Pandora's box, because it falls under so many different categories, and it goes with COVID, believe it or not, because you have the right to assemble. You have the right to organize an assembly without being persecuted or anything. So that means regardless of COVID or a pandemic or what's going on, you still have your First Amendment right that protects you regardless. You should not be fined, nor not by state nor government.
You shouldn't have to worry about persecution from your own government when you are practicing something that the government has sworn to protect for you. That's why they're there. They're there for us. They were put in place to ensure that every individual has the same exact rights and privileges as everybody else. Their job is not to dictate, and their job is certainly not to dole out who has what and who deserves what and who gets more and who's good and who's bad. It's not their job. That's not their job.
Yeah, and for all the young kids out there, because a lot of the adults understand, even those who didn't understand last year, for all you kids out there, this is for everyone. This is not one-sided anymore. There is no sides. The only sides there are the sides that the government implements to categorize us and to put us against each other. It's the only sides there are. There are no sides. We are individuals and we are American. And I don't care who you are. If you're willing to stand for the Constitution, you're willing to stand for this redress of grievance because it is your right. Every single American, every single legal citizen has the right, and the Constitution protects you. So this is for everyone, and I don't care who you are, and I don't care what color you are and what religion you come. I do not care. If you're willing to stand for the Constitution, we are willing to stand with you.
Yeah. You know, a lot of people are probably wondering why, like why and what, right? Like why? Here's the deal. We have nothing to lose from trying. We have nothing to lose from getting signatures in this book, or maybe not. Either way, we have nothing to lose in sending this back to where it needs to go. Would it help if we had people behind us? Sure. Numbers in this sense do matter, right? What is it? The squeaky wheel gets the oil, right? I don't have anything to lose. I can go back off this stupid Facebook. I can go back to my extremely amazing life that I have, and I don't have to think about it or care about it. I could literally turn a blind eye and not care. There's no reason that we are here other than the fact that we just couldn't take it anymore, and we know that there is a legal process, and if we all stick together, and if we all learn, and if we all educate each other and come together in one solid form, which is the form of this document, things can change.
Listen, there's been many people who have tried and many events that have happened, and nothing has worked. We believe, especially when we started this is our only legal way to defend our to use our First Amendment right and protect the people. Whether you believe in it, whether you want to say something negative about it, it doesn't matter.
What else
because
do you have to lose at this
It's here and it's written for you. All you had to do was get behind it. It's all it is. It's already written. It's already been presented to government, but shadowed by a sham impeachment. What do you have to lose than to get behind this document?
Right. I mean, and it's not. Here's the deal. This isn't even. And we posted a video on our YouTube. Somebody had made a comment about President Trump, and I thought, you moron. You didn't listen to what we were saying. Freedom isn't about Donald J. Trump. The Constitution isn't about Donald J. Trump. America isn't about Donald J. Trump. At the end of the day, it is about us. At the end of the day, this Constitution, the flag, and everything Americana lives on long after we're all dust.
And do not fall in and conform to rhetoric. I don't care what side you're on. The American flag stands for something. Many people have died for that. The American flag stands for freedom, your freedom, regardless of who you are. If you are an American citizen, that flag stands for your freedom. It means something. People have laid down their life for that flag. It should be respected. Yeah. Everybody wants to have their own flag and wants to have their own logo, Listen, the American flag has stood with us for many and many a years, and it'll still be there long after we're gone, and it represents something, and it represents freedom. All of your freedom, regardless of who you are, regardless if you were ignorant and hated it before, it stands for your freedom. And people tomorrow, regardless of who they are, they could be your brother, your sister, your father, they will stand for that flag and they will fight for it.
Absolutely. We have to free our minds. We have to come together in a way that we've never done before. And it's been preached for years and years and years. It has been preached by myself. It's been preached by you. It's been preached by everybody. We have to do this. We have to stand together, not because we are with Group A, not because we are Group B, not because we're Democrat or Republican or whatever you want to label yourself. It isn't about any of that. Drop it away, because it's not about that. It is about preserving God-given rights, civil liberties, things that are granted to us at birth. And no government and no person has the right to take that or distort that or tell you what to do with that. And we have to put government in check. It says it right in the First Amendment. That is our right. When we feel that our government has turned on us or our government is not acting in fair balance, it is our right and obligation to put them in check.
And you can look up redress agreements and you can research. In recent years, after Magna Carta, there's been redress agreements from NAACP, there's been redress agreements for women's rights, but they weren't actually redress agreements. They weren't for all people. There were more single complaints than a list for all people. And I think with that said, we're going to end this.
Let me note that this list is probably never ending. Right? There's probably 100 things in your mind that you're sitting there thinking to yourself, wait, what about this? Wait, what about this? And all of these things can be added because this is a living document. If things can be added. And if you bring something to my attention, if you email us and you say, hey, wait a minute, what about this? You know something? Yeah, if it's not already in here, and if it's valid enough to blanket everybody as fair or unfair, yeah, you're damn right it's going in this document. But what we need is for this document to get support. That would be helpful. We need for Ted Cruz. I know you're busy, Ted, but we need for Ted Cruz and Jim Jordan to look on their desks and find it, because it's there.
We put it there.
Personally.
And I'm going to tell you what, this document has a heartbeat. It's a living document. What it needs is paddles. What it needs is an energy drink, a 5-hour. That's what it needs. It needs for you people to back it, and it needs for you to stand up for it, and you have nothing to lose.
At this point, what do you have to lose? Because with the stroke of a pen every day, the executive orders go out. And this isn't a right or left thing, because if anybody on the left thinks that it will not affect you, you are sadly and grossly mistaken.
It's already affected you.
Think of your children. Think of how much your great-grandchildren will be paying for COVID alone, and the bullshit impeachments and the crap that's going on in government. Think about your grandchildren, left or right or center, doesn't matter, whatever. If you wear a unicorn suit at night and you want to throw fairy dust, we don't give a shit. We could care less what you do. But think about this. What you don't do could affect your younger generations, your cousins, your aunts, your uncles. Plain and simple. This isn't a popularity contest. It's a freaking country. Like, get behind it.
With that said, I think we're going to start the next segment and start going over each grievance. We read it to you tonight. Next, we will be going over each and every grievance. We'll be discussing it, and we'll be covering everything in segments.
I hope that in the next week or two, we will start getting copies printed for signatures, because that's the goal, is to get the signatures. We have books with signatures, but we need more. And then we need to decide on how and when we're going to re-present this.
The resurrection.
That's it.
With that said, guys, I'm Mike. This is Tammy. Have a good night. Thanks for listening. Hope everybody gets behind it. Hope everybody shares it, gets it out there, because I believe, and I know you believe, this is probably the last thing that might be able to save the American people.
Truth. If you have any questions, you guys can email us. We've posted our email everywhere. We'll post it again. We'll attach it to this. Any questions, concerns, if you guys think you can help, you think you know somebody that can help, get the word out, spread the word. If you want more information, just email us, message us,
That's it.
and that's it.
Everybody be good. Love you guys.
Peace.